What if I told you that the thing everyone calls India's biggest problem might actually be its greatest strength? That the very population we blame for traffic, unemployment, and chaos could be the reason India dominates the next century? They say we're too many. But what if the real issue is not how many people we have, but what we do with them? India is overpopulated. You've heard it in news debates, WhatsApp forwards, dinner table conversations. People say, asterisk, too many mouths to feed, asterisk, not enough jobs, asterisk, there's just no space. And yes, we feel the pressure. Trains are packed. Cities are bursting. Resources seem stretched thin. But here's the question nobody asks. Is population really the problem? Or are we just managing it wrong? India is now the most populous country in the world, with over 1.44 billion people. But let's zoom in. Asterisk, over 66% are under 35. Asterisk, nearly 600 million Indians are between 15 to 40. That's not a burden. That's a workforce. That's energy. That's potential. Compare this to Japan, where nearly 30% of the population is above 65. Or China, where the one-child policy has now backfired into a shrinking, aging population. This is called a demographic dividend. And India is standing right in the middle of that window. But windows close fast. So if population is a gift, why does it feel like a curse? The answer, mismatch. We have people, but not enough skilled people. We have graduates, but not enough job-ready ones. We have manpower, but we're missing direction. India produces 1.5 million engineers every year, but many can't find a job, not because they're lazy, but because the system didn't prepare them for the real world. We have the numbers, but not the infrastructure, not enough good schools, not enough good teachers, not enough internet in rural India. And so the population starts to feel like pressure. Let's look at the big players. The U.S. became a superpower because it welcomed people. It turned immigrants into builders. China became a manufacturing giant by using its population to power factories. South Korea, decades ago, poor and struggling, invested in its youth. Today, its people run global tech and culture. And India, we're at that crossroads. 1.4 billion people. If we unlock them, we become unstoppable. If we ignore them, they become restless. The question isn't, is population a problem? The real question is, can we turn this population into power? And the answer depends on what we do next. India has the numbers, but numbers alone can't build a nation. We need minds, skills, ideas. Our education system is still stuck in the 1980s. We teach kids how to remember, but not how to think. We push marks, but ignore curiosity. In rural areas, some students walk 5 kilometers just to attend school, only to find the teacher didn't show up. In cities, private coaching has become a business worth over Indian rupee 58,000 crores. And yet, 8 out of 10 engineering graduates are not employable. How does a country with the largest youth population still struggle to teach them the basics? Skill India. The idea sounds great, but ask anyone who tried it, and you'll hear mixed reviews. A young man in Uttar Pradesh learned how to use a computer, but there were no jobs nearby. A girl in Bihar was trained in retail, but the nearest mall was 70 kilometers away. Skills matter, but access matters even more. Without local job creation, skilling becomes just another certificate. Now imagine, asterisk every village had Wi-Fi, asterisk every student had AI tutors, asterisk vocational training was part of school. That's when the population turns into power. You can't build a nation with tired bodies and anxious minds. Health is a silent pillar of productivity, and India is facing a crisis. Asterisk 22% of youth are undernourished. Asterisk mental health issues are rising. Asterisk clean water is still a dream for many. Population isn't just about how many people we have. It's about how well they're living. A healthy population is a productive population, and healthcare is an investment, not charity. India today has over 110 unicorn startups. And guess who built them? Young Indians with ideas, laptops, and ambition. From Zeroda to Zomato, it's the youth reshaping our economy. This is proof when you give talent the tools. Population becomes innovation. The world isn't laughing at our population. They're afraid of it because 600 million young minds, if educated and skilled, could dominate tech, health, manufacturing. Already, 1 in 10 doctors in the U.S. is Indian. Google, Microsoft, Adobe, IBM, all led by Indians. So the question isn't, are we too many? The real question is, what happens when the world's youngest country decides to lead? Everyone talks about cities, but the real transformation? It's going to happen in villages. 65% of Indians still live in rural areas. That's not backward. That's untapped. In Tamil Nadu, women created a self-help group selling goods nationwide. In Odisha, teenagers use solar-powered internet to start online tutoring. This is what population can do when given the smallest chance. Population isn't the problem. Governance is. Singapore is tiny but well-run. Nigeria has oil and people, but poor leadership. It's not how many people you have. It's how they're led and included. If only 1% of 1 billion people are thriving, that's a system failure. What are you doing with the opportunity of being young in India? This generation can rewrite everything. No one is coming to save us. We, the young, are the ones who will fix the system, start the companies, and lead. Don't let anyone convince you that being many is a curse. Because if we wake up, being many is what makes us unstoppable. So is India's population an obstacle? No, it's a power source. And power, if wasted, can destroy, but if directed, can create a new world. India doesn't need fewer people. India needs more people with purpose. And if we get that right, no country, no system, no history book will be able to ignore what's coming. This century won't just belong to India. It will be built by its people. Let's take a moment to talk about a real story, one that started small with one person and became a ripple across India. In 2010, a small-town entrepreneur from Surat, Gujarat named Ghanshyam Sarda, decided to fix a gap in something as basic as footwear. He launched a brand called Campus Shoes, an Indian sports shoe brand at a time when everyone wore either international brands or unbranded slippers. Instead of competing in metros, Campus focused on Tier 2 and Tier 3 cities, bringing affordable, durable shoes for school kids and working youth. Fast forward to today, Campus is one of India's top 5 sportswear brands, with over 600 exclusive outlets and thousands of indirect jobs created across its supply chain. Why does this matter? Because the business was built on understanding India's population, not complaining about it. Sarda saw India's youth as a market, not a problem. He trained locals, manufactured locally, used regional influencers, kept pricing real. And here's the result. Campus is now valued at over Indian rupee 1 for 100 crores and still growing. One story, one idea, one person. Multiply that by 1,000, and you see what India's population can really do. We don't need fewer people. We need more believers, more builders, asterisk, asterisk. So the next time someone says, India has too many people, tell them, we also have too many dreams. And that's exactly why we'll rise. Let's talk about Ashra Patel, a name you might not know, but a woman whose work is quietly shaping India's future. She co-founded an organization called Prava. It works with young people, especially those from rural India, and helps them grow into change makers. Through leadership training and real-world experience, thousands of youth have transformed into entrepreneurs, teachers, health workers, and local heroes in their own communities. This isn't just social work. It's a blueprint, a ripple effect that turns one empowered person into 10 more. Now, let's look at South Korea. Back in the 1970s, they had a dense population, limited land, and almost no natural resources, just like India. But they didn't complain about how many people they had. They invested in education, in skill building, in their youth. Today, they lead the world in technology, innovation, and cultural influence. If they could rise from scarcity, why can't we? In Chhattisgarh, a small group of tribal women in Dantewada started a millet processing unit. No big investors, no MBA degrees, just local support, internet access, and a clear vision. Today, that group has grown into a 1.2 crore enterprise. It now employs more than 40 women from the region. When rural India gets even a little opportunity, it creates massive change. Let's talk about Jugaad, our signature style of solving problems. But Jugaad is evolving into genius. Look at Selco Solar, a company that brings clean solar energy to India's poorest homes. They didn't build billion-dollar plants. They designed small, affordable solar kits for families who don't even read or write. No grid needed. No electricity bill. Just smart, scalable impact. This is a power designing for Indians, by Indians. Let's hear what some of India's thought leaders have said. Dr. Raghuram Rajan once said, "Population is not a problem. It's a human capital waiting to be trained." Daduta Patanik puts it even more sharply. You can't blame people for being born. You can only blame systems for failing them. And Kira Mazumdar Shaw reminds us, every child born in India is a potential genius, but only if we give them the platform to rise. Now imagine this. A teenage girl in rural Maharashtra logs onto a free AI-based learning platform. She learns English, picks up coding, and starts a business selling handmade bags online. Or a young man in Assam learns to fly drones for agriculture. Soon, he's helping local farmers monitor their crops more efficiently than ever before. These aren't dreams. They're already happening, in small clusters, in scattered corners. Now scale that up. If just 20% of India's youth became skilled, productive, and empowered, we wouldn't just solve unemployment. We'd rewrite India's economic future. So the world keeps asking, can India manage its population? But maybe they're asking the wrong question. Because the real question is, can India mobilize its population? And the answer? It's starting to look like, yes. This is more than a number. It's more than a statistic. It's more than just people. It's energy, it's creativity, it's potential. And if we unlock it, no one can stop what's coming next. Let's zoom out for a second. Do you know what makes a country truly unstoppable? It's not just money, not just technology, but the right people in the right mindset at the right time. And India, we've hit that moment. Over 50% of India's population is under 25. That's more than 670 million people with energy, ideas, and ambition. Let's compare that to Europe. In Germany, the median age is 47. In Japan, it's 49. In India, 28. We're not aging. We're just warming up. But here's the twist. Just having young people isn't enough. What matters is, what are they doing? And the answer might surprise you. According to a 2023 NASCOM report, over 1.2 million Indian developers now work in AI, blockchain, or cloud computing. We're not just using technology anymore. We're building it. From teenagers launching coding startups to 19-year-olds designing space tech for ISRO student programs, we are breaking old stereotypes. This is a generation that doesn't wait for permission. It creates its own opportunity. Let's talk numbers. India has over 800 million internet users. That's more than the entire population of the US, Japan, and Russia combined. What used to take generations to learn now fits inside your phone. And thanks to platforms like YouTube, Skillshare, and Udemy, an 18-year-old in Kerala can learn data science in 3 months and get hired globally. No Ivy League needed. No visa needed. Talent is going borderless. And India is right at the center. Now think about this. What if we actually start planning for our size? Imagine if our infrastructure, schools, roads, transport, and internet were built for 2 billion people, not 1.4, because that's where we're headed. And if we plan like it's a crisis, we'll always be chasing problems. But if we plan like it's an opportunity, we'll be building a superpower. Let's talk money. Did you know? India is set to become the third largest economy in the world by 2030, according to Morgan Stanley and S&P. Not because we export oil, not because of natural resources, but because of our human capital. In fact, 85% of India's GDP growth in the next 10 years is expected to come from internal demand, driven by our own people, our own cities, our own youth, our own creators. That's the population dividend in action. But it's not all roses. We also have challenges: automation, inequality, brain drain. But here's the thing. These are not population problems. They're policy problems. They're infrastructure problems. And they can be fixed. What can't be manufactured overnight? A billion sharp, hungry young minds with the grit to rise. We already have that. Now here's a wild thought. If just 5% of India's population built micro businesses, that's over 70 million new entrepreneurs. Imagine the kind of economy that creates. Imagine the local jobs, the innovations, the exports. We won't just be the next China. We'll be something the world hasn't seen before. A democracy-driven economic giant. And let's not forget the Indian diaspora. Over 35 million Indians live abroad. They're CEOs, scientists, engineers, professors. They send back over $100 billion every year in remittances, more than any country on earth. That's the Indian population at work, not just at home, but everywhere. So whether it's local or global, digital or rural, one thing is clear. India's people are already moving. The only question is, how far can we go? And the answer? As far as we dare to dream. The best way to predict India's future is to empower the ones who will build it. Anonymous, but should be every Indian's mindset. Let's talk about the future, not the distant one, but the one just around the corner. In the next 5 years, India will have the largest working-age population in the world. Over 1 billion people between 15 and 64. No other country has ever had this kind of raw human energy. But the world is changing. Automation is replacing low-skilled jobs. AI is making old systems obsolete. And remote work is becoming the new normal. The question is, are we ready? Because here's the secret. India is not just catching up, we're skipping steps. In Africa, we built solar grids before fossil fuel pipelines. In India, UPI digital payments became mainstream before debit cards ever did. While the West argues about data privacy, India launched Aadhaar, DigiLocker, and UPI, creating the largest digital public infrastructure in the world. No country of our size has moved this fast. And with ONDC, the Open Network for Digital Commerce, we're about to change how small businesses sell, how people buy, and how the economy flows. This isn't just digital growth. This is inclusive growth, and it's being powered by people. Young minds in Rajasthan are teaching AI to farmers. Women in Assam are running online boutiques from villages. Teenagers in Chennai are publishing ebooks. School dropouts in Mumbai are building SaaS tools. This is India 2.0, not just the land of temples and traffic, but of tinkerers, coders, and dreamers. And now, even the world is noticing. Why do you think Apple, Tesla, Google, and Microsoft are betting big on India? Because they don't just see a country. They see a force, a marketplace, a brain trust, a factory, a consumer base, a launch pad, all rolled into one. But here's the truth nobody tells you. The world isn't going to wait for us. And it's not going to hand us a crown. We have to take it. With every small startup, every skilling initiative, every young voice that refuses to stay silent. So no, population isn't an obstacle. It's a once-in-history opportunity. If 1 billion minds wake up with purpose, the earth will feel it. Unknown. So next time you hear someone say, India is too crowded, just smile and remember, it's not a crowd. It's a revolution. And it's just getting started.